Welcome back to the Tul World podcast. I'm your host, David Ju, and I'm here with Master Ju.
Hello there, Mr. Ju.
Hello. All right, so this week we're going to take a look at, in Juche / Kodang, consecutive punching. So we're going from a parallel stance to a closed stance with jumping. I want to say also, this is the first time that we see consecutive punching. And maybe the only time in a pattern?
Now that's interesting.
Because you don't call it consecutive when it's on the ground. I think it's only when you're in the air for punching.
Oh, I see. And
Don't quote me on that one, but.
Well, that's interesting because you know there are some definitions about like fast, slow, consecutive, and so forth, right? And usually, like fast motions in a stance, and you're not moving forward.
Right. But usually you're using both hands.
Scratching my nose there.
Oh. Usually you're using both hands.
Correct.
So this one's using the same, which would stay in line with the consecutive kicking.
Right.
But we wouldn't call that consecutive if it's just the same hand on the ground, would you?
No.
No.
That's different.
Yeah. But when you look at the encyclopedia, they always have that little flying punching section, which is almost looks a little ridiculous as they jump across and punch 4 guys in the face. Bah, 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 right?
It can happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
It can be awfully good.
But this is going to be
line
similar.
up everybody.
Yeah. It's
Maybe it's close quarters.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's the same idea here, right?
Right.
That's one guy, though. So the question is, when I execute it, what does my left hand do? Do I bring it off the hip, or do I leave it there? So if you look at like the encyclopedia, there's no intermediate position where it's coming off the hip.
That's because it's a
photo. It's a picture, yeah, that's right. Maybe they could add a live photo one day. You know how they have those like iPhone or Samsung things as a live photo?
Yeah, but that's not happening now because General Che isn't here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. Well, you could do it with AI, maybe.
Yeah, but then
yeah,
but then isn't the AI kind of a?
It's a model of whatever you puts in.
What
yeah,
you
whatever
put into it, right? So you can't really speak for him specifically.
No. But anyway, so in the encyclopedia, it doesn't show that hand coming off the hip, right? If you look at the Comdo videos, you say it's like slightly coming off. I said it's not really moving. It's like kind of hard to say it in my opinion. But what's your thoughts?
So I learned it where the hands are moving.
Okay.
So why? Because in general, what we have is action reactions. So if I'm punching, that one's going to come up, and then I do the next one. So that's why it makes sense to me to get the hand off the belt. So it's moving, and I've looked at that Comdo video, and it looks to me like there is. It's not a large movement. It's not like you go 1, 2, right? It's okay. Those that are listening to the podcast, sorry, you can't hear that. You can't see that, right? Someone always says, "Hey, can you do a video on?" Okay, here we are. So those are watching on the YouTube. There you go. There's a little action going on, I guess. So anyway, I think that the reaction hand that comes off the belt. So there is a reaction movement. You don't see very many technique that the hand stays in the same place. Now, sometimes you do, right? Wedging block, but there's a reason for that. You're holding it. Maybe you're doing mid-side block. And
front snap kick too.
Front snap kick, you're holding that position. So there's no kind of a jerking reaction of that hand for the kick, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting too. Is that only with the kicks? You ever see it with the hand?
Holding that position?
Right.
Well, this could be the first.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't.
So let me ask you this. So you have when it's a consecutive punch, it's a little different than a regular motion. So could that be a reason that it stays on the hip? Because if you look at fast motion, right, it's different than regular motion. The intermediate position, there's less of a relaxation between the two techniques. Right? This wasn't consecutive. It's going fast. I'm jumping and I have to perform them before I land.
I'm just going to say, who's your instructor?
I just asked.
What's he teaching you? No. I think that's valid. Never really had a discussion about that. I've always just taught it as it comes off the hip. And it's mostly because of that reaction hand. So, but you do see students that jump up and execute that with the hands in that same position. And would that make a difference? Ooh, that's a good question.
Okay, so let's go on and then let's talk about the reaction. So let's say that there is a reaction. How far do I pull my hands? Because you don't want it to look like a punch. Because some people, you know,
They are punches.
They see, no. What I mean was the reaction, because sometimes people go like, they extend the hand, they go 1, they extend the hand 2, and then, you know, a new second dan might be like, oh, so it's 3 punches. Right.
And I have seen it that way.
Right. But it looks like 3 punches, but it's really only 2.
But you know, it's hard to say the person that did that pattern, because when you look at that pattern, but the person that's performing it may not be moving it as much as maybe it should. In other words, if I'm punching, my hand comes up, and then it's got to come back, so then I'm bringing my hand off the hip, and then it's coming back out, and it's coming back towards the hip. But maybe the person that's performing it on a Comdo video doesn't have that full extension per se. I see it as moving the hands, right? And there's actually quite a few things that are interesting when I watch some of these older videos that doesn't seem right. And I would guess that some of it isn't correct.
Yeah.
Mostly because, you know, they're videotaping someone, and you can make a slight mistake or slightly different, or and so it's not quite exactly the way maybe Juche wanted it. But how many times do you have to do that pattern over and over to get every movement correctly without having to splice it up?
Yeah.
I guess, you know, what we do in our Tul World Plus is that we do splice it up. And so we're isolating just a specific technique in the pattern.
All right, well, let us know your guys' thoughts on the consecutive punching in Juche, Kodang. And as always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
We'll see you guys next time.
Take one.